when I get up on a mic, I'm a CRAAAZY.
What's up, my Wizards Dev? SBMTG channel out there. We got some more Shadows over Innistrad spoilers for you today, including something that people are absolutely losing their minds over. So I should probably just talk about that first. Should go ahead and get into it, because again, got a lot to say, because there's a super relevant Planeswalker spoiled for the second day in a row. So let's get to that. Actually, I think the Planeswalker we got today is even better than the Planeswalker we got yesterday. This is Arlinn Kord, and I love that we get to make King of the Hill jokes for the next year. That's going to be awesome. And damn it, Bobby, this card is good. Let's check this thing out. This is a 4 mana, again with the 4 mana Planeswalkers. That's 2 generic, a red and a green, for a Planeswalker with a starting loyalty of 3. You can +1 her until end of turn. Target creature gets +2/+2, vigilance, and haste. Pretty sweet, +1, not bad. You can also just pay 0 loyalty and activate that ability to get a 2/2 wolf creature token, and then you transform Arlinn Kord. Planeswalker that transforms a really awesome idea. It transforms into Arlinn Embraced by the Moon, which is a super awesome name. And you can +1 Arlinn Embraced by the Moon to have creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. That's pretty cool to have an Anthem sort of overrunning effect on a Planeswalker. In these colors is cool. You can also -1 this Arlinn Embraced by the Moon to have her bolt a creature or a player. And if you do -1 her, you bolt and then you transform her back into the regular Arlinn Kord. The transform version has an ultimate that's -6, and you get an emblem with creatures you control have haste and tap, deal damage equal to this creature's power to target creature or player. That's pretty silly. So let's break this down and talk about this card for a second. Alright, first things first. Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. But sorry. But anyway, first of all, this is confusing a lot of players. You cannot, to kill your dreams, I'm sorry about that, you cannot play her, pay her 0 ability, transform her, and then do the bolt thing. Transform her again, get another wolf, transform her, do another bolt, transform her. You can't do that. The creature doesn't actually, or the Planeswalker in this case, doesn't actually leave play at any point, and it remembers that it's already used one of its abilities. So you can only do 1 ability a turn. Don't get crazy pipe dreams about being able to just... The card isn't literally broken. Well, this is obviously supposed to be reminiscent of Huntmaster of the Fells, and a lot of people are saying that Arlinn is better than Huntmaster, and that's arguable. I could definitely see that there's different points of debate there. But if you haven't noticed, Arlinn does do a lot of things. Untransformed, her first ability allows you to make a guy huge, give it haste, which actually is pretty important, and it allows you, this is kind of subtle here, but I think it's a point to make. It allows you to remain aggressive by attacking with that creature, but still protecting her by leaving that guy behind on defense to block. Subtle point, but I think it's important. Her 0 ability is another way of protecting her and flooding the field with tokens over time. And Virulent Plague is looking better every day. And when she transforms, her +1 ability is an Anthem effect that gives your whole team trample and lets you like break stalemates. That seems pretty good. Really aggressive. That's pretty awesome. And her -1 when she transforms is another way of protecting her. That's pretty cool. And I really like that it's only -1, even though you can't do it 2 turns in a row. You know, you transform her. Can't do it 2 turns in a row, but -1 still seems like pretty darn cheap. It's also worth noting that if you just, create a wolf and then bolt 3 times and then kill her, then you've created 3 creatures and you've dealt 9 damage. So, it seems pretty good on its own and could win the game by itself. But it's also worth noting her ultimate. I should talk about that for just a second. Even though it does kind of take forever to get to that ultimate, it takes like 4 turns to get the ultimate. It is like incredibly game-breaking provided you have a few dudes out, which might be a lot to ask considering you've been spending those 4 turns blocking and protecting her. So, who knows how big your field will be, but this is really good with a bunch of tokens or just a couple of big guys. So, pretty game-breaking, although the ultimate does require that you have other things. But she creates tokens. That's pretty cool. She makes those tokens bigger in 2 different ways. That's awesome, allowing you to make one huge guy or go wide. That's cool. Bolts things. Just everything the thing does is ridiculously utility and is something you want your Planeswalker to do. Just incredible thing, and I grade this definitely an A. I would say this is going to be a huge player in the standard format, and does some really exciting things. I was just talking about Naya Walkers yesterday, and I don't know if you want to play 4 or 3 different 4 mana cost Walkers in your 3-color Walker deck, but I'm going to try it and see what happens. There's definitely a ratio that you'd play there, and you might play, 3 or 4 of this, definitely. And also just, an aggressive green-red deck that seems like a great top-of-the-curve finish for that kind of deck, allowing, that gives the deck some reach too, which a green-red deck obviously doesn't often have, especially an aggressive one. Or more exciting for a lot of people, me included, this could herald the return of Jund or be the redemption of Temur, and either one of those would be sweet. That was an awesome card. I think we can all agree that that is a really, really super awesome card. Now, let's move on to some stuff that, while not as impactful, is just a really good from a design perspective and a lot, just like a lot of these cards we've been seeing. And the first thing I want to talk about is a card that could see some play, although I'm leaning towards no, but we'll see. This is Odric Lunarch Marshal. First of all, it is a 4 mana, that's 3 generic and a white creature. It's a 3/3 legendary human soldier. At the beginning of each combat, that's important, both your combat and their combat step. And forgive me for reading here, but I'm about to because there's a lot of abilities. If a creature you control has first strike, your entire team gains first strike. Now that same thing is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. I can't even get through the list with a straight face. So holy crap. First of all, I do want to point out this guy has an honest to God lightsaber, and that's we can all agree that that's cool. Also, he kind of looks like George Clooney to me, and maybe I'm crazy, but he kind of look like George Clooney. I don't really like Ben Kenobi's 3 toughness, but I will say this, I always gripe about cards that don't do anything when they come into play. They don't do anything the first turn that they're on the battlefield. This does something the turn that it enters the battlefield, immediately affects your combat step, and does something on their combat step too. So before he's even able to swing, he's affected 2 different combat steps. That seems pretty good, and this also strikes me as a really, really good top deck later on in the game, especially if you've built around him, but time will tell if it's worth building around this thing. It's just that truly profitable situations might be slightly tougher to set up than it appears initially. I mean, that's a huge spread of abilities, but only a few of them are really what you want to set up for. Like double strike is obviously good, hexproof is awesome, death touch is okay, and there's a few more on there. Flying is obviously an important ability, indestructible. So there's some good abilities on there, but obviously the rarer abilities are going to be harder to set up for. So push-pull with this, and I don't know if it's worth building around, but we're going to try. Immediate impressions, I like this. And Commander players, let me know if this is good. I mean, I'm sure there's a Commander Soldiers deck, but I'm just not sure if this, becomes your Commander, or if it's just in the deck. It seems like it would become your Commander, and you could just, definitely build around this. I mean, some of the better, Double Strike and Indestructible, you could easily get those in white. So, maybe, I can see that. Next thing I want to talk about is McCobb Waltz. McCobb Waltz, we've all seen this before, at least most of us have. It's, 1 and a black, it's a sorcery. Basically, you return 2 creatures from your graveyard to your hand, and you discard a card. Classic card, hello again, Ziggy. Mwah, kitty kiss, out of nowhere. Oh, you're alright, buddy? My buddy loves me. And I pet him too hard, apparently. You write back, though, you love me. Anyway, this definitely could go in a red-black madness sort of budget, probably. I don't know if it makes it in the competitive deck, but it might go in as a 1-up. I could see that. This is just really good after you've been blown out, especially, or you lost a couple creatures in combat, maybe just even a creature or 2 to removal. This is a really good way to restabilize, and obviously in a format with madness, the card takes on a whole new relevance, so could be good, and in limited, this especially seems like an incredible madness enabler. So, yeah, this is the set that we want to see McCobb Waltz in. And I just want to point this out before I move on. The art made me lol, immediately when I saw it. And McCobb Waltz always has really good art, always. And this is maybe my favorite just for the humor in it. Liliana, just everything you do is hilarious to me. Next thing I want to talk about is To the Slaughter. This is 2 generic and a black. For an instant, target player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. And if you have Delirium online, then target player sacrifices a creature and a planeswalker. First of all, God, I love the art in this set, but there have been some decent Delirium cards so far, that's pretty good. But this is the first card with Delirium that, really made me think, okay, Delirium is real in Standard. So, this card is awesome, and it's sort of Foul Tongue Invocation, sort of Hero's Downfall / Ruinous Path. Instant Speed is amazing, though. That leaning more towards Hero's Downfall. And is it possible 2 for 1, making it ridiculous? So, great splashable piece of instant speed removal. I'm so glad that some of the important removal from the sets that are rotating is being replaced here. That's very important. I know that some people sort of lament good removal, but I'm a removal nerd. And it's not because I love control. I've gone on record as a mono red aggro player more than anything because I like budget decks. But I like good Magic cards, I guess, and I like when there's a sort of paper, rock, scissors to the format. And this really gives control in mid-range a great piece and sort of helps us get over the loss of a Crackling Doom. So I'm really glad to see this, and it's going to be an impressive card. Yes, I'll say that much. But for removal nerds, super awesome piece because it can 2-for-1 them, and that's just so amazingly dope. Last thing I want to talk about, this is Tainted Chains right here. 2 chains. A lot of hip-hop references this video. But it's 2 mana, that's 1 and a blue for a spirit creature. It's a 2/1 flash flying. I'll get to that in a second. And when Tainted Chains enters the battlefield, target spirit gains hexproof until end of turn. And on top of that, you may cast spirit spells as though they had flash. Okay, so I've expressed my love for Dimensional Infiltrator a bunch in the past. This is obviously comparable to that. Can blue or blue-white tempo control just be a thing? Can it just be a thing already? Like, it's critical mass right now. It's Strata stands for Dimensional Infiltrator. We've got millions of other things. Reflector Mage. We've got a few good 1-drops in the deck, you know. There's a lot of good stuff. I'm leaving out Harbinger of the Tides, you know. It's just a bunch of stuff. Can the deck just be real? Possibly with this, depending on what other spirits that we see. And there are people talking about Modern for this card. I'm not sure. Maybe people talking about Commander, but the relevant Commander isn't in the color identity, so that seems like a huge blow. But, you know, in Modern, this goes along pretty well with a few things. Guys of St. Draft, cough, cough. And depending on, again, what spirits we see in this set, card actually could be really good. Just the fact that it has flash and flying, it seems good to me. And the fact that you can just play things at the end of their turn or during the combat step, and that's really stressful for them. That's awesome. And even more, you know, you can basically counter a removal spell when you play this. So it's like a spell starter sprite, you know. All of these things are awesome, and they're all on 1 card, and it's only 2 mana. So I really want this card to be relevant, but we'll see what format it lands in. That's all I got for now. Let me know how you felt about these cards today, what you're excited for, if my evaluation's way off and I just totally missed something. Well, I'm actually always interested to hear that. And coming up very soon on deck, see what I did there, is Red-Black Madness aggro. I'm going to be doing that quite soon. I think we've seen enough cards to at least show you what some of these do in a gameplay scenario, which is sort of the whole intent of these go ahead and build cards, decks with cards from this set. Videos. So, you know, I know it sometimes seems a little premature to some people, but I just like to go ahead and see and then share what cards actually do once they're on the board in a real situation. You know, that's important. So, yeah, that's coming up very soon, and let me know what else you want to see. And that's all I got. So I'll see you guys later. If you enjoyed the content, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. I'm Dev from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.